Okay, I've got a fun topic for today. We talked about ability scores a little bit yesterday, what to do about negative ability scores. Today, I want to talk about min-maxing. Alright, min-maxing. First, what is min-maxing? Then, well, what should we do about it? And, how it might show up. Another term for it is also power gaming. But let's look at this topic today. First and foremost, I want to say thank you to all the new subscribers. Gosh, the last couple days have been amazing, and we're at 360 today on this DnDaily vlog, which means there's only 5 more to go after today to get to 1 year of DnDaily vlogs every day, which is amazing. So for the new subscribers, thank you. I appreciate you. And as always, on every video, it just so much helps if you give me that thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when they go live, all that good stuff. Share the videos too. If you find any of these really helpful, sharing them with your friends is, well, it's like gold to me, and I really appreciate it. Now, back to the subject at hand. Let's talk about min-maxing. This is nothing new. This is something that's gone around for years and years. Sometimes it is referred to in the realms of video games, but of course today we're talking about it in regards to Dungeons & Dragons 5e. Before I talk about what is min-maxing or power gaming, some people call it power gaming, but before I talk about that, I'm gonna say first, what do we do about it if we're a DM and maybe one of the players or even one of the other players in a game we're playing is a min-maxer? What should we do about it? My answer is nothing. Some people just have fun that way. That's how they get some enjoyment out of the game. They like to crunch the numbers. They like to tweak the system and try to squeeze everything out of it that in their mind gives them the most effective character. For some people, it's really fun and cool to do that. And if that's your jam, I'm all for it. I think it's kind of cool. And there's some elements of it that we could probably all learn from. So now let me rewind it back. So what is min-maxing or power gaming? In Dungeons & Dragons 5e, it's a pretty specific thing on a certain level. I might have my own sort of idea about this too, so I'll explain both perspectives. So first, let me talk about it this way. In very specific terms, min-maxing is when you use the point buy system to generate your ability scores, and you pretty much decide to take 15, 15, 15, 8, 8, 8 as your ability scores. That's sort of the most extreme example you could look at in min-maxing. Essentially what it means is you sacrifice certain ability scores so that you can minimize certain ability scores so you can maximize other scores. If you're playing with a DM who allows slightly different versions of the point buy system to where maybe you can actually go beyond 15, you could even go to where you have a 16, 17, 18 or whatever, and maybe one of your other scores is like a 6 or something. Again, each DM has their own maybe house rules and homebrew stuff that they might allow you to use. So straight out of the book, 15, 15, 15, 8, 8, 8 would be a min-max score, ability score spread, or some variation thereof, to where you're making this extreme. Now, what does that mean in the game? Well, what it means in the game is you're going to really be amazing at a few of your skills, your abilities, rather. Well, your skills too, because it'll bleed over into your skills, and you're gonna be not so good at a whole bunch of other stuff. For instance, if you're a very combat focused individual, you're probably gonna have great strength, dexterity, and constitution, which means you're a hardy, mighty, able-bodied individual, but you're kind of dumb, don't really understand the world, and people don't like you very much, which is fine, and it can be super cool to play. let's flip the side there. It could go the other direction to where you're amazingly witty, incredibly intelligent, have an incredible understanding of people and the way things work, but you're weak, clumsy, and you get sick all the time. So again, this ties back, right? This ties back to the topic for yesterday's vlog, where I was talking about, like, well, what if you have a very low score? How do you handle negatives for your ability scores? You just got to play it out. You got to sort of roll with it in the game. And for some people, min-maxing is a load of fun. I think that's only one form of min-maxing. I really think that there's another form of min-maxing. Maybe power gaming is the better term. And what that is to me is, along with sort of stacking your ability scores, or as we like to, old school fools like me like to call them stats, statistics, right? Your stats, your ability stats, whatever. Stacking them to your advantage. Again, if strength is your primary, then you're making sure strength is your best ability score and so forth. There's another thing you can do that gives you huge advantages, and that I would sort of kind of loop in with min-maxing or power gaming, and that is using traits and feats, especially feats, to really, let's say, game the game, right? So some of those are things like using, well, I mean, gosh, just like some of the feats are incredible. Sentinel is an amazing feat in certain situations, right? But that's just a basic feat. Everybody can have access to that. What I'm talking about is when you do things like, we have a character in our Thursday night game where the character took the feat Duelist and combined it with Great Weapon Fighter. Now, Great Weapon Fighter, he's using a short sword, but he also uses a great axe sometimes. So, let's take a look at what this does. Great Weapon Fighter allows him to take an extra attack when he critically hits, or when he reduces a creature to 0 hit points. He can use his bonus action to get an extra attack. It doesn't say it has to be a two-handed weapon. It's any weapon. Well, any melee weapon. It can't be a ranged weapon, but any melee weapon. That's powerful. That's very meaningful. He can also use the second part of Great Weapon Fighter when if he knows, let's say, for instance, a creature is easy to hit and he wants to do massive amounts of damage, he can take that -5 to hit and get the +10 to damage with his great axe, with his two-handed weapon. So, now, is that power gaming? Is that min-maxing? I don't know. Some people might not think it was, but here's the thing. With this character, he's able to have a ridiculously high armor class because of having the duelist ability. When he's wielding a one-handed weapon, he has a bump to his AC, and he can wield a shield, further bumping his AC, and he can wear heavy armor because he's a fighter. So now he's a tin can with a pointy stick, and then he's got these extra abilities, these feats, that allow him to be devastating in combat. So because he took the fighting style, the dueling fighting style, he gets to add +2 to his damage, so he's doing extra damage fighting with one weapon. If he critically hits or reduces a creature to 0, he gets an extra attack on top of all the other crazy attacks he gets as a fighter. And so anyway, so he's put together a combination of skills and feats and traits, or whatever, fighting styles and so forth, character traits, that has made him like amazingly effective. I mean, just devastating in combat. Some people would view that as power gaming or min-maxing. I think on a certain level, that's probably accurate. And I also think on another level, it's really cool. I am the DM, so believe me, it makes it really tough for me because he just shreds through monsters that he can get into melee with. And he's so hard to hit that, you know, he's very much only susceptible to things that like maybe attack his wisdom or charisma or that kind of thing. So it's a fun dynamic in our game. And this is just one simple example of how it might play out in your game. When players love finding combinations that just work. Like another small one. This is not even really power game. It's just a cool thing you can do. If you have a character that has access to the Find Familiar spell and you choose an owl as your familiar, owls have a really cool ability. They can do what's called a flyby. They have a movement speed of 60. They can fly 60 feet. And they can use an action to do a flyby, which means they can take the help action, giving you, or the next attack essentially, advantage on the attack without provoking an opportunity attack against the familiar. So where some familiars are very squishy, and an owl is still very squishy, the thing is, a familiar, any other familiar that gets into melee and was going to do the help action would risk being squashed by whatever it was trying to, you know, distract. Whereas the owl can do it without taking that much of a risk because of its ability flyby. When I learned about that, I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. I'm going to do that. Does that make me a power gamer? I don't know. I don't think so. And if it does, I think I'm okay with that. There are many. It would take me forever to go through all the different permutations and options and different ways that this can come about. I think it's kind of a funny and fun element of the game and how some people like to play. If you have someone in your game where they sort of get their kicks by power gaming, by min-maxing, or however we want to talk about it, again, my advice is let them do it. Let them have fun. Because again, remember, if they're min-maxing, they're definitely going to have some vulnerabilities. So we as the DMs, if we want to, can always fall back on finding ways to exploit those vulnerabilities and remind those characters that they need to find ways to make themselves maybe a little more well-rounded. And it's going to create interesting dynamics. It will create great stories. I mean, you know, when your characters roll natural 20 after natural 20, and forget about the fact that this character crits on a 19, yeah, you can see where that goes real fast. It's super fun. This is one of those things that I want to hear your stories about because I'm sure you've got some amazing stories about these as well. So tell me about your min-maxing stories. Take a look at one of these videos down here. I'll see you tomorrow. We only have 5 more before I'm going to take a much-needed break from these DnDaily vlogs. Keep rolling 20s until I see you at a table someday, my friends. And remember, it's your game. Play your way.